Hello everybody and welcome back to another Hookster Talks with me and Mr. TB the Bear. Yes, TB the Bear. Say hello, TB. He's waving at you. Look, he's still got his WTF1 top on sticker, whatever you want to call it. Little bastard. Little bastard. Anyway, hello everyone and oh, wait a minute. No, go that way, Dave. Go that way. I've got the fucking vacuum cleaner in shot. Oh, that's not good, is it? That's not good. Let me sort that out. This is so professional. The vacuum cleaner's in shot. Let me get rid of that. Is that better? Get over it. Can't fucking move it. Get over there, you bastard. Go over that way. There you go. Done it. Oh. Fucking knackered now. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Hookster Talks. Yes, this is a normal Thursday Hookster Talks, unlike last week, which unfortunately, because we were talking about the submarine last week, it was a little bit of a somber Hookster Talks and really wasn't, the same as usual. But we're back to normal this week. So hello to everyone who's out there. Let's go to the chat and see if anyone's bothered to turn up tonight. Let's have a look. Yes, we have the fan club here already. Excuse me. The fan club is here. Mr. Will F1 Gaming says today is Nicholas Latifi's 28th birthday. Well, happy birthday to Mr. Latifi. Queen Latifi himself. Yes, happy birthday. Quite possibly one of the greatest F1 drivers in history of the world ever. It's going to be said, I think, in about the next 10-15 years, he'll be revered, I think, as someone along the lines of Senna, Prost, Mansell, Hill, Schumacher, Verstappen, Latifi. It's going to happen. You just know it's going to happen. Yes. Oh dear. Hello, Scott. Welcome to the stream. Yes, fine, thank you. It's Mr. KDF1 as well. He says hello. Hello. Good evening, says Mr. Will. Let's have a Dave Does the Hoovering stream. Yes, let's have a Dave Does the Hoovering stream. Yeah, that'll bring the punters in. It's got to be better than making an apology video playing a ukulele, isn't it? I mean, that's ridiculous. If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's all over the internet, so I'll let you look at it. But yeah. Will says, as Tomo would say, hello everyone, welcome to the stream. How we all doing? Is that how he talks, is it? Because he pretends he's a cockney from London. He ain't really, you know. No, he's from Essex. Yeah, he's an Essex lad. Everyone knows that. But anyway, alright? How you all doing? You alright? I'm all, oh, I'm peachy, mate. Peachy. Absolutely peachy I am, mate. Yeah. Scott says Rosset, yes, and as revered as Ricardo Rosset as well. Yes, he is. Death to the Mohawk, says KDF1. Yeah, I know, I'm getting to that. Right, what did I put on the title? Oh, yes. It's the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend. In fact, this, obviously, when the race is on, it will be July, even though we're still in June at the moment, but obviously on Sunday it will be July, and that will be the start of a very busy month for Formula One fans. Yes, so get your excitement caps on. Yes, because Formula One is back and we've got 3 races in the month of July to get through, with just 1 week gap between Silverstone, I think, and is it Spa, the last one? I think it is. Usually is. So yeah, so we've got 3 races to get through in July, and then of course they take their usual 3-week summer break, because the poor lads and lasses are knackered, absolutely knackered. Do you know how tiring it is going round in circles for 1 hour and 34 minutes? It's bloody knackering, mate. Bloody knackering. So the poor wee lambs, they need to take a break, so they can have their 3-week summer break when they can go home, see the families, and it's all going to be lovely jubbly, isn't it? Yeah, so that's what's going to happen. So we've got Austria this weekend, and then next weekend, of course, the excitement is going to be almost at 5, because we've got Silverstone. Yes, the home of the British Grand Prix. Thank you, Murray. Thank you indeed. But yes, it is Silverstone next weekend. I actually thought it was this weekend, so I was getting very, very confused. But it's not. It's next weekend. And of course, I think we got a 1 week break, and then we go on to, I think it's Spa. I'm pretty sure it's Spa anyway. And then, of course, that'll be on the 27th of July. And then that'll be it for a whole month. We're not back until the 27th of August. What will you Formula One fans do? What will you do without Formula One for 3 weeks? Can't be bothered, can you? Can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. Anyway, before we continue, let's have a look now and see where we are. Because, as I say, we didn't do a proper Hookster Talks last week because of everything that was going on with the sinking submarine. So this week we'll get back to normal and talk about Formula One stuff. So let's have a look at the moment and have a look at the standings, because we haven't looked at that for ages, and see where the drivers are in the standings right now. So Max Verstappen is obviously in the lead with 195 points. In second place, it's Sergio Perez with 126. That's quite a big margin, it has to be said. I can't see Checo making up that gap to get anywhere near Max Verstappen. Well, obviously, that's not going to happen, but you know, that's too high a gap, I think, to catch him. And of course, in third place, we've got Fernando Alonso with 117 points. 117 points in third place in an Aston Martin. Who would have thought it? But yes, there he is. And this is the best news. This is the best news. He's ahead of Lulu. Lewis Hamilton in full position. Nothing taken away from Lewis Hamilton. He's had a great season so far. But he's in fourth place with 102 points. Poor Lulu. Poor Lulu. In fifth place, we've got Carlos Sainz with 68. I'm very surprised, actually, that Carlos is up there in fifth. But there's a huge gap between him and Lewis. But I am surprised because I've really not seen much action from Carlos Sainz pretty much all season in that Ferrari. So, yeah, that's been a surprise. But there he is in black and white in fifth position. In sixth place, it's George of the Russell in the Mercedes with 65 points. George is definitely not having a good season this year, as to be said. He's being outclassed at the moment by Lulu. It's clear to see by the results. Doesn't matter about what happens in the races. It's the results that count. And as you can clearly see, Lewis is quite a way ahead of George Russell at the moment, 102 of 65. And in seventh place, we got Charles Leclerc, which I was expecting Charles to be around seventh place because that's about the season he's had at the moment with Ferrari with 54 points. In eighth position, we've got the Canadian Wonderstorm himself, Lancey Boy Stroll, with 37 points. 37 points. Fantastic. And he's beating Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. Yes, the Alpine with 29 points. Yes, and of course Alpine have been partially brought out now by Ryan Reynolds, the movie star. Yes, you know, Deadpool, that guy. And his business partner as well. They already own, somebody told me what team it was they owned. I can't, Wrexham, that's it. Thank you, Jamie, for telling me that. But yeah, Wrexham. They already own Wrexham Football Club. And now they're sort of branching out even further. So they're really splashing out the cash. I do believe they bought a 25% stake in Alpine, which is, well, it's great news for Alpine because any sort of, you know, money coming towards them is going to ensure that they stay in Formula One for many years to come. And it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. And we've got Pierre Gasly in 10th position. He's not had a very good year either, has he? 15 World Championship points only for Pierre. And then, of course, we come to the first of the McLaren drivers. Lando Norris is currently 11th place in the championship right now with 12 points. In anyone's point of view, that is seriously disappointing. Not for the fact that it's Lando Norris, but the fact that he's driving a McLaren. And they've only got 12 points on the board at the moment. Alexander Albon is in 12th with 7 points in the Williams Mercedes. He's done very well, considering that the Williams is definitely the back end of the field. He's done very well to get 7 points. Nico Hulkenberg is currently in 13th place, unlucky for him, in the Haas Ferrari with 6 points. Pastry as we like to call him, is in 14th place. We're only 5 points on the board so far. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And look at Valtteri Bottas. Look at Valtteri Bottas, ex-Mercedes driver. When he came into the Alfa Romeo team, he did very well at the start of his season at Alfa Romeo. Very well indeed. He was getting serious points as well. But now look at him. It looks like he's gone into that comfort zone now where he's just like, I can't be bothered. You know, I can't be bothered. Just give me my paycheck so I can go home and shag the missus, come back next week and have another go. But I just can't be bothered. Because seriously, I mean, that is pathetic. 5 points he's got. 5 points. In fact, there's a lot of drivers I just noticed here with very low points. Very low points. Look at them. All these drivers here below 12 points underneath Lando Norris. So Guan Yu Zhou, he's only got 4 points in the whole of the championship so far. And we're, 8-9 rounds in. Yuki Tsunoda. Yes, he's in 17th place. I love little Yuki. I love little Yuki Tsunoda. Yes, he's such a good little chap. He's only 3'8", but I tell you, great little chap is old Yuki. He's got 2 points. Two points in this championship. And I'm very surprised at that. But well done to little Yuki for getting 2 points. Now, of course, you can see next to where it says Yuki in Japan, it says AlphaTauri Honda. Next year, it will not be AlphaTauri. Yes, Helmut Marko has turned around and said, nope, we are abandoning the AlphaTauri name. So, what name are they going to use next year? Are they going to go back to Toro Rosso? I don't know. I've no idea. Would they feel that's, a sort of a step backwards to go back to the name of Toro? I'd like to see it myself. I've never been too impressed with the AlphaTauri name, and to be honest, although it has absolutely no connection whatsoever, isn't it right that since they've changed to AlphaTauri, their performance has definitely dropped down? Now, of course, this has got no connection, but their performance level has definitely dropped down since they changed their name. And I just feel that, the push from the team when something like that is less. And I think, yes, they should go back to being Toro Rosso, because that's just such a great name. And, of course, they could start putting the Red Bull logos back on the side of the car again like they used to have, because obviously it's all AlphaTauri, the actual clothing line, sort of logos all over the car. So we can go back to those classic Red Bull logos on the car. So that would be great if they did go back to calling their cars Toro Rosso. Yes, of course, Toro Rosso came in was it 2006? Yes, 2006, wasn't it? Toro Rosso. So yeah, it would be great to bring that name back again, I think, because they're certainly not doing very well at the moment as AlphaTauri. As I said, that obviously makes absolutely no difference than the name getting changed to your performance level. But I do feel that would give them a little bit of a little bit of a leg up if they actually change back to Toro Rosso. And then, of course, we've got Kevin Magnussen. He's having quite a disastrous year as well so far. He's only in 18th place with 2 points in, of course, the other Haas. Then, of course, we've got... Bloody hell, this is sounding like a Crawl Room video, isn't it? Then, of course, we've got a Nick De Vries in the other AlphaTauri, and he's got 0 points on the board. Now, I think Nick would be the first one to say he's had a very, very disappointing season so far. Very disappointing. He had so much potential and so much sort of, backing from people saying about how good he really is. But something's definitely gone wrong with Nick De Vries at AlphaTauri. I'm not quite sure what it is, but he's got no performance whatsoever. And then, of course, we've got Logan Sargent bringing up the rear in the Williams Mercedes, which is not a surprise to me because I'd heard before he came into Formula One that there's been a lot of hype about him. A lot of people have bigged him up, but the actual potential wasn't actually there. So it's no surprise whatsoever to me that he's right at the back of the grid in last place with 0 points on the board. So that's the driver standings. Let's go to the comments. See how we're doing. Bloody hell, we got loads of them. Oh yes, and Bertie. Oh yes, Bertie. Now he was one of the greatest, wasn't he? Luciano Bertie. That's how Mo used to call it, wasn't it? Luciano Bertie. Yes, wasn't he at Jaguar? Was it Jaguar? Sure he was. Yes, I remember. I don't think he started at Jaguar, but I just remember him at Jaguar. Yes, Luciano Bertie. One of the greats. One of the F1 greats. Thomas Eng was another great driver. Yes, he was. Yes, brilliant. What do you mean I'm exaggerating it? Totally not. 4 races in July. Says, is it 4? 4? 4? Are you sure, Will? Are you sure it's 4? I'm going to have to check now. I'm going to have to check. F1 calendar. I was only looking at this last night, but I've probably got it wrong. Right. Oh yeah, I wasn't looking at this bit. Perhaps I should have been. Right, so where are we? Canada, oh how we love you so. We just had Canada, so here we are at Austria on the 30th of June. There you go. It's July when the race is on, so there you go. Then we've got Great Britain. Oh, yeah, he's right. That's it. Off to the naughty step for Dave. That's it. I'll tell you what. Alva would never have made that mistake, would he? No, that would have... ritual sacrifice if he'd have made that mistake. Yes, I completely forgot about Hungary in the middle. So in other words, it's an even busier month for F1 fans because, yes, indeedy, Mr. McGreedy, we've got 4 races now throughout the month of July, which means 1 every single week, surely, yes. Yes, I'm right. We've got 1 every week now for the next month, the whole of July. Then it goes to the summer break for 3 weeks, and then we're back on the 27th of August, which is what I said earlier, and it's the Netherlands. Yes, then the last race, which I did get right before the summer break, is Belgium, but I completely forgot about Hungary, which is the one just after Great Britain. There you go. So, yes, we've got some serious F1ing to do in the next month then. Oh, my God. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, when am I going to do Breaking Point 2? Well, I can officially announce that because I usually replace the Hookster Talks with Breaking Point 2, I just do them a little bit later in the evening, going into the night. I've been trying to find a space to put them, and there it is right there on your screen. The 3-week gap between Belgium and the Netherlands, I'll be doing Breaking Point 2 on my late night streaming, probably on Thursday and Friday nights until we finished it, which we should finish it because it only takes about 6 hours. So there you go. There's for anyone who's asking about that. Will says Spa is not in August for some bizarre reason. Yes, that is a bit weird. It usually is, isn't it? But no, not at the moment. It's been a pretty topsy turvy season this year, though, hasn't it? Considering that we've had cancellations, we've had another time in the season when there's been a huge gap between the next race, and I'm sure they could have bunged one in there, to be honest. But there you go. Then of course we had the cancellation of what was that one that cancelled? Italy. There you go. The Romagna Grand Prix was cancelled due to flooding, of course. So there you go. So this is round 10 is Austria. Then we've got Great Britain next week. Now, if anyone wants some excitement, I've been watching this intently. WTF1 will be at the Silverstone Stop it now. Stop. WTF1 will be at the Silverstone Grand Prix. They've got their own little marquee tent pitched out. It's nowhere near as big as Matt and Tommy's tent. Yes, they've got this like luxury trailer, for their tent, and it sort of comes off there. WTF1, no, it's like a camping tent. You know, the one where you stick the pegs in the ground and. Yeah, but they'll be there at Silverstone. So go and meet all the crew if you can remember who they are now, because they change pretty much every week. Yeah, it'll be probably by Silverstone. They'll have 4 brand new presenters. So hopefully they'll have big like WTF1 logos on their shirts, so you'll know who they are. So yeah, go along to Silverstone and go and meet WTF1 and say Dave says hi. Yes, so that should be fun. That should be fun. I've just lost the chat now. I've got to rewind it. 4 if you include Austria. Yeah, I am going to include Austria because it is as I said at the start of the show, it is actually on in July. It's the Sunday is although the practice and that is going to be in June. It's still going to be on in July. So yeah, you've got to say 4 races. That's probably where I was getting confused actually earlier. So, but anyway, I digress. We'll move on. KDF1 says also glory to UGE Day. Yes, indeed, UGE Day, F1 Championship Edition. Don't forget your starting car every time. If you couldn't be bothered to, put the grind in to get better times in the other 2 teams you were given, I could never be bothered. I just wanted to drive as Yuji. Yes. The absolute greatest F1 driver in existence. Yes, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. It's July on Saturday. Yes, there you go. July on Saturday. Confirmation from JW97. Thank you. To be honest, I only get excited for the British Grand Prix live on Channel 4. Oh, yes. I might actually be able to watch a race live at Great Britain. That'll be great. That'll be great. Will says Sir Lulu of glorious Inglewood. Yes, that's him. That's the chappie. JW97 says I'm at Silverstone next week. Well, there you go, Joseph. There you go. Do me a favour. Go and meet the WTF1 crew and say Dave says hi. And then we'll all look at each other and go, what? Who the bloody hell's Dave? Just say F1 Games PlayStation. And you'll probably get a nice badge or a sticker, or you might get told to leave the premises. I'm not quite sure which way it'll go. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, please say hi from me. Oh dear. It'll probably be security! Security! Someone call for security! Oh dear. Hungary's after Silverstone. Yes, then Spa. Thank you, Will. And JW97. Sir Lulu of Armani. Yes. Goofiest Goober says, you. Okay. Thank you very much for that, sir. Will F1 Gaming says, Valtteri bot paint and the art set to... Yeah. I can't make any sense of that, but I agree. JW97 says George Toothless Russell if you play F120. Yeah, that is funny. That's probably the greatest glitch that Codemasters have ever put into one of their games is George Russell with no teeth. No teeth. If anyone doesn't know, yes, in the F123 game, they've admitted to put George Russell's teeth in. Yes. Yes. He looks like an old man of about 78 years old that's just woken up very, very quickly, doesn't know what planet he's on, and has forgotten to put his teeth in. Or pretty much me every morning. KDF1 says, also F198, Dave, we haven't forgotten. I know, I haven't forgotten either. It's actually in my laptop, which is right over there right now, ready to be edited. Don't get too excited because it takes a very long time but it's in my editor now, okay? It's the next thing on the list. But unfortunately, I only can do like 5-10 minutes of it a day. So it's going to take a long time, but it is finally on my editing equipment, ready to start being edited. So that's real progress, because it hasn't even reached there yet. But finally, I think it was about 2 days ago, I put it on there, so it's ready to start editing. But as I say, don't get too excited. 100% race, very long time to edit, but it's progress. Definitely making progress. Will says, Valtteri just end my contract already, Bottas. Yes. Poor Valtteri. Poor Valtteri. What has gone wrong with him? George and the Russell, watch out for those teeth. Indeed. Well, you can watch out for those teeth because someone's stolen them. Yes. Personally, I think it was Lulu. Yes, I think it was Lulu. I think Lulu stole George Russell's teeth. Yes, because everyone kept calling him Gorgeous George. He didn't like the attention that he wasn't getting, so he decided to sort him out. So there you go. He stole his teeth. Sad. Very sad. JW97 says, Lance, hopeless Stroll. Yes, indeed. Disqualified on the crawl wall, says Will F1. Yes, indeed. Oh, Will F1, have you heard what Bottas has been up to? Shave off the mohawk, says KDF1. Nissan Duke. Plano Plessy, hello, so on the streets. So glad I haven't bought F123 yet. Don't regret it at all. No. And I'm going to go into that in a moment. Skinny dipping again. Oh, God. Bottas skinny. Oh, God. Please don't link me to that. No. Okay? No. I have enough nightmares as it is. I don't need to see Valtteri Bottas skinny dipping. No. Nobody needs to see that. Nobody's asked for it. No one needs to see it. Thank you. Will says Bottas has completely lost it. Yeah, he has. Will says, to be fair, Piastri is doing a solid job at that McLaren. Oh, yeah, he is doing a solid job. It's just, if you look at the points, he's not doing well. But Lando isn't doing that much better. He's only got, double the points, which, it's not like a case of he's got 50 more points. Lando's only got, 11, isn't it? And he's got 5. So there's not really much of a gap there, to be honest. Porridge plus moustache plus mullet equals slow. Yes, indeedy. Scott says Yuki beat Max in an off-road race. Did he really? Wow. Great to see. Well, he had an advantage, didn't he, old Yuki, because of his very, very small stature. He's only 3'8" is Yuki, and that did him well in off-road racing. Yes, Max was just too heavy. So well done, Yuki. What do we think of high-tech Grand Prix potentially entering F1 in the future? I haven't actually heard that story. So, high-tech Grand Prix entering F1 in the future. Well, there's a lot of talk about teams entering, but at the moment, they seem to be just taking over other teams, don't they? I mean, we've got Audi in 2026, but that's just taking over Alfa Romeo, isn't it? So they're going to rebrand that as Audi. So actually having more cars on the grid. Well, it hasn't happened for a very long time, has it? We've had 20 cars now for quite a few years. What's it been? Was it 2015 with the team that I've just forgotten about that dropped out? Manor, that was it. Was that the last time we had 22 cars before they dropped out? Or was it still only on 20 when Manor were in 2015? I can't remember. But yeah, it's been a long time since we've had extra cars in the Grand Prix. I mean, just think back to 2010. There was 26 cars on the grid in 2010. It's averaged between 24 and 26 back in the good old days. But yeah, we had 26 cars on the grid in 2010. Now we've got 20. And it doesn't look like, even if other teams are coming in, that they're actually going to, increase the field, because they might just come in and take over another team at the back. I'm not quite sure. I mean, Williams, it saddens me to say this, but Williams looks very ripe for some kind of takeover from someone else coming in, I have to say. I'd hate that to happen, but I think, because obviously we'll lose the Williams name, but I'm pretty sure that at some point they're going to get taken over by someone. So yeah, I'm not too sure about that. But if another team comes in and starts that's the other problem, of course. That a brand new team, they've got to start from scratch, so they've got none of the engineering and the development that has happened from teams that are on the grid now that they've had for the past 10, 20, 30 years. So it's very, very difficult for a new team to start from scratch in Formula One. It's a lot easier to go the Audi route and just take over one of the teams that is currently still on the grid. I don't know which team they could take over, to be honest. But there's a few. I mean, as I say, there's Williams, not AlphaTauri, because that's obviously Helmut Marko's little baby, so he's not going to get rid of that. But there's a few, but not many now, because obviously Audi have got Alfa Romeo, so that's one team that was ripe for taking over. So yeah, it's going to be tough. But if a new team comes in from scratch, they're going to have a very tough time in Formula One, especially the way Formula One is now. They're going to have a very tough time. I mean, just look at Toyota when they came in. They had towards the end of their tenure, they were doing pretty decent. But when they started, they had a horrible time. And don't forget, they just come off the back of Le Mans victories, and they thought they were going to go straight into Formula One and do very well indeed. But they just didn't. I mean, they had some fairly decent drivers in their teams over the years as well, but they just didn't have the performance and the sort of development that you get through time, because they had to start from scratch and they just didn't have it. And so it was always a problem for Toyota to come out of the blocks fighting. A lot like BAR, of course, when they started. Craig Pillock, as I like to call him, always said that, our first race we're going to win it. Well, that didn't happen, and that was a lot to do with the fact that they were starting from scratch, so they had none of the, development that the other teams had. It stands you in good stead when you're going through races if you've got lots of data to go back on what you've done in previous races. And of course the car, if it's a development of the car from last year, then obviously there's so much less work to do on that car to get it to a competitive level. Whereas if you're starting from scratch, it's completely a blank slate. The car is just sitting there, or it's not even sitting there, it's just a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, and you've got to start designing that car from scratch. And maybe they've hired brand new designers who have never designed a Formula One car, and yet they've got to go in there and design that from scratch. And so to start in Formula One these days, especially with the technology and all the systems on board an F1 car as well, it's ridiculous the amount of electronics. It must be really hard for an F1 team to start from scratch at the moment. But it'll be very interesting to see if they do come in as a new team, I must admit. Scott says Minardi should come back. Yes, bring back Minardi. That's what I say. Bring back Minardi. JW97 says, I think it's more that AlphaTauri as a brand hasn't caught on as they thought it would. Yes, that's true. I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't even know who AlphaTauri was when they first came in as the brand. I had to go and look them up, and it was, it's the clothing brand of Red Bull. Yeah, but I didn't even know what they were, who they were, anything. So yeah, that sort of, I think they were expecting bigger things. And they expected more people to know what AlphaTauri was, but they didn't. And so their sort of popularity hasn't reached the highs that they thought it was going to be, and especially nowhere near the highs of Toro Rosso. I mean, Toro Rosso, it was a pretty decent team, and just the name as well, stirred a lot of people's emotions, which is great. But when they changed to AlphaTauri in 2020, everyone was like, what? Who are they then? So yeah, it hasn't had quite the same effect. So yeah, I'd love to see them change back to Toro Rosso. Pretty sure Paul Stoddard has the rights to the Minardi name. Yeah, he probably has, because he was a canny old Australian. So I expect he probably still has the name of Minardi, because he did buy the team outright, didn't he? So I'm pretty sure the name belongs to him. But it would be great to see Minardi back in the field again. I must admit, it would be great to see. Hence why he took that name to Champ Car to F1. Yeah. Will says Nick de Vries has done very well outside F1, but he just can't get to grips with F1. This is true. And I think I've said this in a previous stream ages ago, that happens a lot to people. They do very well in their field, then they go into something like Formula One and they don't do as well. But it's not a reflection on, that they weren't any good to start with. It's just that F1, it's a very pressure cooker environment. It really is. And to be in that environment, you've got to be a certain something. And some people just can't do it. But it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them, because they can have success before F1 and not have any success in F1, and they can leave F1 and go and have success in other fields. It's just that F1 is just it's a pressure cooker. It really is. And unless you're on it out of the gate, you don't really stand much chance. No. It's like the highest sort of sport that you can get into in regards to motor racing, and you've got to come out of the gates completely 100% on it. If you're only 98% on it, you're not going to do well in Formula One. That's just the thing. Whereas in other sports, you could be like 68, 78% on it, and you could still do very well. But in Formula One, you've got to be 98% on it, or it's just not going to happen for you. And that's the problem. De Vries will be gone for Lawson comes. Okay, I agree. Possibly. I don't know whether they're going to do any changes before the end of the year, though. I think they'll probably keep all the drivers they've got, to be honest, for this year. I mean, in previous years, we've had driver swaps after the summer break, haven't we? Well, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not quite sure, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to keep with who they've got until the end of the year, and then they'll probably make a decision on. I have to say, a few drivers on the grid need to be made a decision of. One of them is Nick de Vries, but there's a couple of others, but I'm not going to mention them just in case they surprise me and start to do well. But there's a couple of drivers that need to, have a good talking to, or to actually get rid of and bring someone else in. Logan Sargent is the new Nicholas Latifi. Yes, no doubt next year I shall be doing a Logan Sargent crawl room skits. No doubt it'll happen. Yes. Spa, I doubt it. Jaguar and Prost, Bertie was at. Oh, thank you. Yes, I knew it was Jaguar. Prost was the other one, was it? Yeah, that's right. I remember now. Yes, he was. Yeah, in that blue car. Luciano Bertie. Thank you, Murray. Had his near-fatal crash at Prost at Spa. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Thomas Eng did drugs after F1. Oh. I take back what I said earlier then. Bertie, Jaguar and Prost. Thank you, Scott. Well, he'll definitely be out in Spa for sure, at least, regardless of who got to come in. Yeah. JW says, I don't think he will. You said the same about Yuki 2021. At least he had one good race. Yes. Also, Spa's not the first race after the summer break anymore. Zandvoort is. Yeah, I did notice that. But there you go. That's F1 for you. Zandvoort will be gone by then. Nah. In 2018, when it was Toro Rosso, they said after 7 races they were going to get rid of Brendan Hartley mid-season, when in fact he did the whole season. Yeah, that's quite true. Yes. Brendan Hartley. Yes. Okay, everyone. If anyone watches my all seasons, you know what I'm going to do now, don't you? So gay! So bloody gay! Brendan Hartley. And if anyone's got no... I shouldn't have said that, should I, in this PC world of ours now? If anyone doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about, I used to keep saying that as one of the catchphrases in my all seasons. And the reason was because I saw an interview with Brendan Hartley years ago, and I just couldn't stop laughing because the way he was talking was very effeminate. I can't even say that word. I'm going to attempt it again. Effeminate. Hopefully you understood what I said. Can't say that bloody word. Effeminate. In other words, he sounded very female, even though he was male. And I just heard him, and I just burst out laughing. I can't even remember what the interview was. It wasn't to do with Formula One, I don't think. I think it was something else that he was involved in. But yeah, I just watched it, and I just burst out laughing. And from that point, it just stuck in my brain. And so after that, I started in my catchphrasing. I just started saying, "It's Brendan Hartley, so gay, so bloody gay." I mean, obviously, he probably isn't gay. I've got no idea at all. But it just caught in my brain, and away I went with it. So there you go. It's Red Bull. Sentiment doesn't exist for them. That's true. Well, Yuki is still there, so yeah, Yuki's still there. I think Yuki should stay there because number one, I do like the little chap. I do like, I know he's only 3'8", but I do like the little chap. I mean, if he gets chucked out of Formula One, he could come round here because I've got plenty of jobs that need doing. Yeah, plenty of DIY jobs. Obviously, not putting up shelves because he's going to need a big step ladder for that, isn't he? Big because he's only 3'8". So no, but I'm sure there's other little jobs Yuki could do around the house. So if he does get chucked out, Yuki, if you're watching, I'm sure he is because everyone watches these streams. So yeah, if you're watching, Yuki, if you need a job after Formula One, then I'm your man. Yeah, I'll tell you what you could do. Maybe you could sort out my DVD collection, okay? Because I like them in alphabetical order. Yeah, that's A to Z, okay? None of this stupid stuff, Z to A. No, we like it properly, and I'm a stickler for my alphabeticize. Yes, so it's not just all the A's, okay? It's all the A's, and then the next letter after the A has to be the lowest as well, okay? So you'd have A, AC, and then AD, and stuff like that. Are you with me? Yeah, that's proper alphabeticizing stuff. All these amateurs just put the A's. No, just anyway. I'm going off on a tangent here. Let's carry on. I'll let you know if I see them next Sunday. I doubt I'll come across them, but I'll update you when I'm back from there. Oh, thank you, Joseph. Yeah, update me. Tell me if you saw them. If you want to know who still is a WTF 1%er, Andre Harrison's still there, and Charlie Williams, I do believe, is still there as well. Hannah Atkinson, apparently, although I don't believe it, is still there as well. And then you've got that new bloke who I can't remember the name of, but yeah, Harry Benjamin. There you go. He's still there. So I'm sure as you've been around Formula One, same as I've been around Formula One and YouTube for a long time, you know who Andre Harrison is. You can't miss Andre Harrison. So you're gonna know. And Charlie's the blonde one, and Harry Benjamin isn't the blonde one. But anyway, he probably won't be there anyway. He's probably got sacked by now. But yeah, just look out for Andre if you happen to see at the WTF one. He should be there. So there you go. Yeah, report back to me and tell me if they were there. Dave's Facebook has gone off. Yes. F1 98 being edited at last, only 7 months after capturing the footage. Well done, Dave, you plum. I know, that's quick for me. It really is, but there you go. 2016 was the last time we had 22 cars. Oh, thank you, Jedi97. 2016, there you go. 24 cars in 2010, not 26. Thank you for the correction, Mr. KDF1. I do believe it was supposed to be 26, but didn't a team drop out? I'm sure they did. Thoughts on Dominic Orlando's title prospects for next season? Well, as you've put the Canadian flag, and hello Matthew 7657, as you've put the Canadian flag next to it, that's probably you've put your own answer in that question. Yeah, it's Canadian. It's not going to win. He's going to bottle it like Lance Stroll. Ah, thank you, KDF1. Yeah, I thought it was. F1 was supposed to be 26. But US F1. BAR brought Tyrrell, so they weren't quite starting from scratch, but they were a firm back marker, so no surprise their first car was shit. Yes, that's right. They did buy a Tyrrell, but didn't they have to build the they had to build the whole car from scratch though, didn't they? Because those Tyrrells were towards the end of their tenureship. Those Tyrrells were pretty shite, weren't they? Who remembers the one with the big? Well, a lot of them had them, but the Tyrrell with the big wings coming up in 1998. Do you remember that? And then a lot of the cars started adopting it, but it was Tyrrell that had those huge side wings coming up from the car. Ugly as sin. Absolutely ugly as sin. But yeah, Tyrrell started that. It's actually in... is it F1 97? I think it is, the Tyrrell with the high wings. Or was it 98? No, anyway, but... The Tyrrell's in there with those high wings if you want to drive that car in 1998. I don't know why you'd want to, but yeah. So they had to basically start the car from scratch. So it was pretty much like starting from scratch. That they would have had some, development from Tyrrell, but to be honest, if you've got to start your car again from scratch, all of that past development is. You just put it in the recycling bin, to be honest, because it's not really much good. So yeah, pretty much they were starting from scratch. The advantage they would have had is that they probably would have employed a lot of people that were working for Tyrrell, so that would have helped them out. So they would have had quite a few guys there that knew what they were doing, so that would have helped them out. So it wasn't completely started from scratch. So that was pretty good. Monaco 1995 was the last race where there was 26 cars. There you go. True, but they built a new factory and facilities from scratch. They didn't use Tyrrell's factory. Oh, there you go. Yeah. BAR had a midfield car in 99, but they just couldn't finish a race to save their lives. No, they couldn't. They were very good at crashing, though, especially at Spa. Yes, Jack Villeneuve and Ricardo Zonta. At Spa in 99. Go and see if you can find that video on YouTube. That's great. Yeah. Both cars ended up like a packet of crisps after you've just literally gone bang. Yes, that's how both cars ended up. Jack Villeneuve got out of the car. Literally, it was completely mangled. He got out of the car and says, "That was great." Just to prove how much of a loony he was. But yeah, he just said that was great. So there you go. The factory BR built would end up being Mercedes factory. There you go. There you go. KDF1 says also they had the has-been that was Jack Villeneuve. Sorry, I was trying to read that. They had the has-been that was Jack Villeneuve in the car, who was there mainly for a payday as well as a bunch of false promises, let's be honest. Yeah, Jack Villeneuve was never really what you'd call a frontline driver, to be honest. I mean, he won the championship. Nothing to take that away from him in 97, but he was never... I mean, in 96, he started with Damon Hill, and Damon Hill was basically pissing all over him in 96, to be honest. And then 97 came along, and of course, Damon had got sacked from Williams. Yes, sacked from Williams, even though he won the championship, and then he got sacked. And so, of course, it was pretty natural that Jack Villeneuve was going to win, because that Williams car, more than Jack Villeneuve's ability, was pretty much the class of the field, at least at the start of the season. Then it did a serious slump. But I've spoken about that before, about the fact that Adrian Newey had left at the start of the 97 season, tried to claim to everyone that he wasn't working for McLaren, but secretly he was working for McLaren. And that's why he produced the 98 car, which was absolutely unbeatable. So that means that Williams had no one developing that car through 97. So they started strong out the box, but they started to fade. They did come back up again. They had sort of mid-season slump. Then they came back up again. Then they dropped down again. And, of course, McLaren in the last couple of races of 97 unbeatable. And that was a little sort of foreshadowing to what happened in 98. But so, yeah. Plus, with BAR, Reynard was building their cars from 99 to 2002, with ProDrive then building the cars from 2003 to 2005 before Honda bought the team. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. That was old Craig Pillock, wasn't it? And all his little deals he done. I think he was part of the problem, though, for BAR. Craig Pillock's whole philosophy was, when he was running the team, was build the car around Villeneuve and no one else. Yes. Yes, Craig Pollock, I must admit, reminds me of a certain person who, a couple of weeks ago, built a submarine. He's got that sort of same mentality if you go back and look at past interviews. Yeah, and that didn't go so well, did it? And didn't go so well for the BAR team in the end either, did it? But yeah, it's just they seem to have similar sort of personalities, you know, sort of my way is the correct way, no, everyone else is wrong. That's the sort of personality that I get back from that, you know, and unfortunately that isn't correct. Basically, even more reason why the car was crap. Having a third party design your car can end in disasters. Look at most of Huss's recent efforts. Yes, that's very true, because Huss, of course, you know, really don't design their car at all, do they? Just steal it off Ferrari. Well, no, it's an exclusivity deal, isn't it? Yes, with Ferrari. But yeah. When David Richards took over, he scrapped the velocity and the team improved from there. Yes, he did. David Richards, of course, was a very, very good businessman, and he knew exactly what was needed, and he really did pull that team up out the doldrums. Unfortunately, of course, it did start to disappear again, but that was when David Richards left again. So yeah, so it wasn't really his fault, but yeah, he really did a decent job, I think, of pulling that team up after it was seriously starting to, you know, sort of slump down again. It worked for them in 2004 when ProDrive started building them. Yeah, 2005 would have been good if they didn't keep on messing up all their races during the first half of the season. Well, that and the illegal fuel tank, which gave them a 2-race ban. Yes, I remember that. Should have just stuck with one tank rather than risking splitting it over 2 tanks. Yes. Also, they would have most likely gotten a podium at Indy had they actually been able to race. Button qualified 3rd for the race. Tyrrell has the X-Wing from... It was 97. I thought it was 97. Yes, the X-Wing. That was it. Yeah. Oh, my God. And then Ferrari put it on their car, didn't they? Everyone was like, oh, no. How on earth could you put something so ugly on a Ferrari? But yes, they put... it wasn't on for very long, was it? And then the FIA banned all of that completely. And they said, no, because they were a danger, because... if you had to get out of the car quickly, you've got these 2 things right next to you, and you've got to manoeuvre yourself out of the way to get past them. So that's why they banned them, for safety reasons, because horrible things. And as I say, trying to get out of the car, you've got to manoeuvre yourself around these things. You know, to get out of your car, it's better to have nothing either side of you so you can get out bloody quick if it's about to catch fire. That's the best thing. And all these 2 stupid pillars right next to you was not good. So the FIA said, no, that's it. Banned. So they banned it on everyone, which was good because it meant that it equalised all the teams then. I know a lot of them were struggling, but then it meant that everyone was struggling without using those stupid wings, which was great to see. So technically, Rosset drove for Mercedes. Yes, technically he did. I've seen the BI crashes from... Oh, you've seen them? Yeah, they're great. They really are. They're great. They're great because none of the drivers got hurt at all. As I say, Villeneuve got out of the car and went, that was great. They didn't get... But yet, if you look at the crash, and you didn't know, if you look at it for the first time, you go, oh, jeez. How were they all right with that? But they were fine. Both the drivers were absolutely fine. So that's what makes it a great crash. You know, if you can walk away from it without any injury, you know, that's a great crash. That's how I look at it. Great crash. And yeah, those crashes were just brilliant. I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, back to 99, wasn't there was some problem with the underfloor of the car, wasn't there? And it was raised up too high, and then as it went up over the top of Spa, it literally just took off like an aeroplane. It literally just went, patoom! And that's how it, something like that anyway. There was something wrong with the car that they found out later that they'd done something to the car which was making it basically like a rocket ship. So yeah, that was good. Have you ever had a crash like that in Spa 1980 in practice or qualifying? Yeah, I remember. The drivers had a bet to see if they could go through Eau Rouge Radion flat out, which went well. Yes, it did. Damon Hill got sacked from Williams because of soggy chips, and Sir Frank Williams and Sir Patrick Head were furious. They got rid of him. Indeed. Basically, they sacked Hill after 1995 due to the numerous mistakes he made, but still drove for them in 1996 because he had a contract. Ironic, he won the title. It was ironic. It was ironic. And yes, Damon Hill, as I've said before, I did used to support Damon when he was in Formula One, but he was another one. He was a good driver, but he was certainly not a great driver. He certainly wasn't revered in the same. I put Damon Hill pretty close to David Coulthard. They had that same sort of, Coulthard made huge cock-ups in his career. Huge cock-ups. Crashing out on the formation lap has got to go down as the biggest cock-up of Formula One ever. Yes. I mean, you're literally going at half the speed and you crashed. What? So yeah, I put them in the same league. Damon was a good driver, but he wasn't a great driver. Now, in 1996, of course, with Schumacher going to Ferrari, that Ferrari in 96 was a bit of a dog, has to be said, a bit of a dog. So it was pretty inevitable that Schumacher wasn't going to be challenging for the championship. So it only really left Damon Hill. So he was in a good opportunity to win that championship. But even then, he made some almighty cock-ups. I think he spun out and you saw him underneath the bridge. I think it was at Japan. So anyway, that was one of his ornamental cock-ups. And it meant that he had to go right to the end of the season to actually win it. Basically because he made a few mistakes during the season. But it was inevitable, I think, that he was going to win because that car, the Williams in 96, was a great car. And of course, Renault had to go backwards because a lot of people had found out that Renault in 95 were actually cheating. And so the 96 Renault had to be done to the regulations. And so, unfortunately, and of course, they'd got some new drivers. They poached the Ferrari drivers. And so they'd sort of taken a step back. So there wasn't really any Renault to challenge with Damon Hill. And of course, with Michael Schumacher at Ferrari having a dog of a time trying to get that Ferrari to go properly, it was pretty easy for Damon Hill to win the championship. But pretty ironic, as you say, that he still under contract and yet he'd already been sacked at the end of 95. So, yeah. Awkward! They deserved to struggle as punishment for how hideous those wings were. Yes, they did. Do you think Schumacher deserved the title after crashing into Damon Hill? Good question, Matthew. No. Because it was clear intent. Michael had already crashed his car and it was game over, and he deliberately drove into the side of Damon Hill. He could easily have avoided hitting Damon, but it was a last ditch effort to try and win the championship, as everyone has now said that exactly what happened, because you can just look at the replays and you can see the act was deliberate. He turned deliberately into Damon Hill to try and do a maximum amount of damage to his car that he did to try and stop him from not winning the championship, and it paid off because he completely bent the wishbone suspension, and unfortunately Damon knew it was all over. He went back to the pits, and if you look at the videos, the mechanics were going up and down with this suspension, but it was completely flattened on one point of it, and you can't send them out, and it's like 22 minutes to actually undo that suspension mounting and replace it. So it wouldn't have been a thing for Damon to have been able to carry on, and you could see that Damon was he knew it was all over. And then the other thing that I get, as I've said before, I like to study people's body language, and the fake joy that Schumacher had when he was standing off there with holding onto his crash helmet when someone had obviously informed him that he won the championship. The joy was 100% fake. It really was. It was just the look on his face, because he knew what he'd done. And so no, he rightly shouldn't have won that championship. And a lot of people said, oh, yeah, it was just, it was a racing incident. But in 1997, he proved once and for all that it wasn't a racing incident, because he did exactly the same thing to Jacques Villeneuve to try and only this time it didn't work. Schumacher came off worse, and of course Jacques Villeneuve won the championship. And because of that, I think that forever tarnished Michael Schumacher's reputation. Now, I'm not going to go into Michael Schumacher because basically we all know the situation, and I think whatever Michael's done in the past, it's certainly come back around now to Michael, so I'm not going to mention Michael anymore, but just to say that, yeah, definitely it was done deliberately. And Michael lost a lot of standing after 97, after a poll of people at the end of 97. He was like the 50th most popular man in Germany, which is obviously his home country. 50 most popular man. In fact, a German sausage maker came in 49th place and he was 50th. Yes, a German sausage maker was more popular in 97 than Michael Schumacher, purely based on that incident with Villeneuve. So yeah, it was a shame, but that was Michael. He had that same sort of instinct as Senna. And that was an absolute 100% commitment to win at all cost. It didn't matter. You go back and look at Senna at that time when he took Prost out and he admitted that he did it deliberately. That was Michael Schumacher as well. And there's not much you can say. If you get away with it, you get away with it. But in 94 he got away with it, won the championship. 97 he didn't get away with it and didn't win the championship. So yeah, but I still believe that it really did a lot of damage to his reputation, and he will never be seen as one of the utmost greats. No, he won't be seen in 100 years as one of the. He was a good driver. I would probably say he was a great driver, but he's not going to be revered as like a Fangio or someone like that, purely because of the tarnishes to his reputation. I mean, there was the Spa incident in 98 as well, when Coulthard, I mean, let's face it, it was absolutely chucking down. Coulthard couldn't see his hand in front of his face, really, and he was just, he was slowing down for the conditions, and Schumacher just, ploughed straight into the back of him. But then you've all seen the video where Schumacher is marching off towards his garage, and he turns around to David and said, "You tried to kill me," which is ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous, because I mean, David Coulthard just dismissed him off and said, "Get out of here," But it was just ridiculous. It really was. But that was Michael. He had an utmost will to win, and it was at all costs. Even his own reputation. He had no qualms if his reputation was going to be sullied by anything that he did. He just had to win at all costs. General 97 says, should have wrapped up the title at Monza, but Damon was being Damon that day. Yes, he was. He was indeed. Hit the tyre barriers at the chicane, spun and broke his rear suspension. That was the one I was talking about. Schumacher had the weaker car and a 2-race ban. Yes. Schumacher was definitely better than Hill in 1994, so yes, he did deserve it. In that instance, yes, he was better, and he should have won the title. Yes, in that instance. But in the fact that he deliberately drove into Damon is the reason why I don't think he deserved the title. Yes, he was in the better car, and he was the better driver, but it was purely on that last race incident, which means that I don't think he deserved to get the title. But he did, so it's a moot point. So there you go. Hill had a shit race at the Nürburgring and he crashed out in Spain and Monza. For that moment in Adelaide, then no, Schumi didn't deserve it. However, same case with Verstappen in 2021. If you look at the season as a whole, Schumi would have probably won it earlier. That's true, actually, yes. if not for the DSQ at Silverstone, DSQ at Spa, and the 2-race ban at Monza and Estoril. Hamilton made so many mistakes in 2021, says Will. Yes, he did. But that's Lulu for you. But I do wonder if Michael would have won it if Ayrton Senna had sadly not been killed. Yeah, that's a question a lot of people have asked, isn't it? In '94, I mean, Schumacher was doing well in that Benetton in '93, but he certainly wasn't. He wasn't up there, and it was only 1 year later. So, personally though, if you look back at the start of the season, Senna was doing very badly in that Williams, very badly indeed. So I would say that Schumacher would probably have still been up there. I think, purely based on Senna's early form. I mean, you look at those early races, he spun out of one of the races, didn't he, if I remember rightly? So, yeah, but it's all conjecture because we have no idea after he died, obviously, what would have happened. But I feel that Senna was, I think he was reaching the end of his time, and I think the Williams wasn't well suited to him. I don't think he was driving it as well as he had done other teams. So yeah, I think he was getting near the end anyway. But anyway, that's all conjecture because we haven't got a clue. Because as you say, sadly, Senna died, so we don't know what could have happened. But I still think that Schumacher would still have been there at the end of the '94 season. It would probably have been Senna would probably have still been up there because he wouldn't have quit, but he'd have probably been in about third position, something like that, in the championship standings if he hadn't have died. But anyway, as I say, it's all conjecture, so we don't know. If Hill almost did, then Senna would have done for sure. Michael even believes Ayrton would have won it. Said so after he won at Adelaide. Yeah. Hamilton would have deserved the 2021 championship over Max had he won it, in my opinion. True. Planet Prince says, I wonder how Senna would have done in a Ferrari. Well, yeah, there you go. How would Senna have done in a Ferrari? Probably pretty well, actually. It would probably have suited him. So, yeah, sad that we never got to see that, but I think he would have done quite well. Name your top 5 drivers of all time. Wowzers. Wowzers me trousers. Of all time, going back to 1950, oh my God. Well, I've got to put this person in there because he's regarded as one of the greatest. He's not of anyone in this chat's era. He's not of my era either. In fact, I don't even think I've ever seen even a clip of him racing. But just from what I've heard over the years in Formula One, as I'm a F1 fanatic, I've got to put him in here, and it's Juan Manuel Fangio. It's got to be. He's got to be in the top 5. He has to be. Even now, as I say, he's not our era. And he was in a completely different era of Formula One. Back in 1950, the championship only had like 7 to 9 rounds in it, and that was it. And I think 2 of those rounds were non-championship races. So he'd win the championship in 7 rounds, which is laughable by today's 23, 24 race standards. But everyone has said that he was one of the greatest drivers. So I've got to put Fangio in the top 5. There you go. But as I say, he's not my era whatsoever. He's not anyone's era, is he really? Unless you're in your 70s or 80s, you'd know who Fangio was. But yeah, so I'm going to put him in there. I'm just writing this down actually. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah dear. Number 2. Well, due to the fact that he's won 7 titles, I've got to put Lulu in there. Out of an all-time top 5, if you've won 7 championships, you've got to be included. It's just a given, isn't it? So I'm going to put Lulu as number 2. These are in no order, of course, of greatness. No order of greatness. These are just a random 5 of all time. So I'm not saying Lulu is the second best driver to Fangio, because that would be ridiculous, because two totally different eras anyway. So, this is just the top 5 of greatest of all time. So there's Lulu, number 2. Now, I will say one thing. I'm not putting Max Verstappen in this list whatsoever, because he's far too young and hasn't done enough to be in the sort of title of greatest driver ever. Ask me that question in another 10 years' time and he'd probably be in there. But at the moment, I can't even include Max, because it'll be stupid to, because he's not done enough. He's not done enough. Oh, this is so tough. This is difficult. I mean, of all time, this is difficult, isn't it? Okay, number 3 has got to be Senna. It's got to be Senna. Has to be. How many championships did he win? He only won 3, didn't he? 3 world championships. But just the way he was, he's got to be included in a greatest driver of all time. I don't think anyone could disagree that he was not one of the greatest drivers of all time. If that's how wide you're going to have the spectrum, I was going to say Senna. So we've got 2 left. Blimey. This is tough. This is tough. Of all time, this is tough. Let me make myself big again. There you go. Of all time. Blimey. Senna. Lulu. Fangio. I can't include Michael Schumacher purely for the reasons I said earlier, because I believe his reputation is tarnished. So I can't include Michael Schumacher. I'd like to, but I don't believe he's can be classed as the greatest, one of the greatest drivers of all time. Blimey. This is difficult. Of all time. I'll have to go away and think about that, because that's not easy. Hill was only in contention because of Schumacher's disqualifications of 2-race ban. Jordan Oswald, number 1. Gabriele Tarquini. Absolutely, I agree with you there. Greatest driver of all time was Gabriele Tarquini. No debate needed whatsoever. It was him. We're F1 game. Schumacher, Senna, Prost, Fangio, Jim Clark. Jim Clark. I forgot about Jim Clark. In fact, I'm going to steal your Jim Clark, sir. And I'm going to raise you. Yeah, Jim Clark. There you go. I've got one more to think of now. Same time, Coulthard could have gone off the racing line given the conditions were appalling, which led to that conspiracy theory that Coulthard deliberately took him out. Yeah, true. 46 drivers in 1994, says Planel Plessy, and a ridiculous amount were pay drivers. Yes. Interlagos, that was on Senna. Pushed the car too hard. Aida, not his fault because he got took out in the first lap. Imola, tragically not his fault as is believed to be a car failure. Yes. KDF1 says, we've had enough comments, now get on with Destroyer Mode. Top 5 drivers of all time. Taki Inui, yes. Ricardo Rossi, yes. Jean Dennis Delatraz, yes. Yuki Ida, yes. Nikita Mazepin, yes. Jordan Oswald, number 1. Gabriele Tarquini, Yuki EJ, Taki Inui, oh yes. Giovanni Amati and Jean Dennis Delatraz, yes. An honourable mention goes to Nicholas Latifi, yes, it should do. Great list, Planel Plessy, great list. KDF1, Carmen Jordan. Yes, now get on with... okay. Right, how long have I been on? Bloody hell, 1 hour and 19 minutes I've been waffling on. Oh my God. Right, we've got to finish up. What else have we got? Driver standings. Austrian Grand Prix. I just wanted to talk quickly about the Austrian Grand Prix, so I'm going to do that. Now, I was going to go back to 10 years ago, but unfortunately there was no Austrian Grand Prix 10 years ago because it only returned in 2014. As I just scroll down here, there you go. Not held between 2004 and 2013. So 2014 it returned, and Nico Rosberg. Yes, Nico Rosberg. Yes, won it in 2014. So there you go. Of course, it was also called the Styrian Grand Prix in 2020 during the COVID debacle. And there you go. So it's been held 41 times so far. 1963 was the first race. Of course, it's been at different circuits, I do believe. The A1 Grand Prix. Anyway, there you go. A little bit of history of that. Because I'm fast running out of time here. Driver standings. What was the other thing I was going to do? Oh, yes. That was the title of the video. F123. Now. Let's see if I can find it. Where is it? F123, everyone. Someone has been doing some testing. Let me make myself even smaller. Apparently, all these cars are on equal performance. And this is how the tyre wear is for every car. So even though they're on equal performance, the tyre wear is very radically different. The Red Bull, 67% wear. This is after, I think it's 14 laps. Or 12 laps. No, here we go. 12 laps he did of all these races. But the Ferrari, 74% after 12 laps. This has caused absolute outrage in the league racing community, and a lot of the weekend league races have been cancelled due to this glitch in F123. Now, I'm not so sure that it is a glitch, to be honest. My understanding of equal cars has always been that the top speed of all the cars is nerfed to be the same. So if we use a scale of like 215 miles an hour, that means whichever car you drive, as soon as you top 215, that's when it stops. Okay? That's when it stops. That's my understanding of equal cars. I don't think it's ever applied to wear on the tyres, to be honest. I mean, I've driven all of these cars, and even back in 2016 and days like that, the cars were equal, but they were all still different. I mean, my Renault car in 2016, the way it went through the gears was completely different to how the Ferrari went through the gears. The Renault was very slow to go through the gears, whereas the Ferrari was like a rocket ship. But they were still classed as equal cars, because as soon as they reached that 215 mile an hour barrier, that was it. That was the max speed. You couldn't go any faster. So that's my understanding of equal cars. Anyway, so that's F123. A little bit of a maybe a glitch, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens as it progresses. But as you could see before I got rid of the thing, as you can see there at the moment, the tyre wear seems to be slightly different. But I don't know, 67% to 74%, is that a lot in any given situation? I don't know. But anyway, this story will probably rumble on. As I say, a lot of the leagues have already cancelled their races this weekend, asking whether they're going to sort it. But I'm not so sure if there's anything to sort out. I'm really not so sure. No. Right, okay. How are we doing? Let's move on to the last one, which is rocket-powered Mohawk. There you go. Here he is. Here's the old fella. Now, I was sent by Mr. KDF1 in the chat a video that he sent, or he posted the other day about the LBGT community. But unfortunately, as you can see, that video is no longer available because he's made it private. So I can't really talk about what the video was about. Not because I can't remember, but when you're discussing other YouTubers, you have to make sure that you get your information 100% correct, because, they can sue you if necessary. So I can't actually talk about what he said in it because I need to make sure that I had the video to watch through again to make sure that my information was correct. But all I will say is that he was, like he does, not being very, how can I put it delicately, against the LGBT community. Now, obviously, I'm in a community myself. Yeah, I won't say which one it is, but I'm in it, so I know what stuff like that is like. Now, this is, I think, is more a problem with YouTube, and that is the dark side of YouTube that not a lot of people tell you, and I'll explain to you what the dark side of YouTube really is. If we look at some of his latest videos, you can see that they're getting very good views. Look, we got 515,000 there. 619,000 for that one just 3 weeks ago. When you get to that level, you start to marvel in your own magnificence, and you start to push the boundaries of what you deem is acceptable even more. It's just a given, and it's, you know, it happens unfortunately because of the way YouTube is and the way it pushes you to, especially if you're doing comedy, which I believe this is what he's trying to achieve, is comedy. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. Is it comedy or isn't it? I don't know. Maybe you will say it is. But here's the thing. If you're going to post a video like that and then take it down, well, you're not really being honest with your own convictions. You're not willing to follow that through. The only reason you should get a video taken down is if someone else takes it down, or it's taken down or removed by YouTube. Now, I'm guessing that because of the things that he said in this video, it has been taken down by YouTube. I can't see any other reason why it would be taken down. If he's taken it down, then this is the thing that I've seen in YouTube a lot, where people like him have posted stuff that's, you know, controversial and all the other stuff that goes with that. They post and then they take it down. And it's like, why did you take that down anyway? Just, you know, if you've made that video, then you should post it. If you didn't want to make the video, then don't. Just leave it. Okay? I've never taken down a single one of my videos, and I never will, unless I'm ordered to take them down. You know, all those WTF1, I'm not taking any of them down, unless, you know, I get sued or whatever. They're staying up. And I stand by what I say. I stand by everything that I've said. So it's just a little bit strange. Now, I have watched a couple of these guys' videos, and some of them are quite entertaining. But you can also see a side of him that isn't very good. You can see that there's an undertone in a lot of the things that he says. And it's not a good undertone. It's a very bad undertone. So I'm not quite sure what it is that he's trying to sort of do here. Is he trying to shock people just to get more popular? Well, that, as I said earlier, is one of the perils of YouTube. And it happens to everybody. As soon as you start getting good views on your videos, especially if you're doing comedy, it pushes you to... Now, I've spoken before about that line. There's nothing wrong with going to the line. You can even dance away on this line if you like, but you don't cross the line. And he is definitely crossing the line on several occasions. Not just this video he did last week. I've seen other videos where he's been crossing the line, but other times he's left them up. So it's a little bit strange. Like this video here, he left up as well. Now, make of this what you will, but let me see if I can get rid of myself.
Know him from what? What did he say?
Trey Harrison here. You may know me from Motorsport 101.
Motorsport 101. Let's see what that is. Motorsport 101. So he's a YouTuber. That's nice. What's this?
Last week, George Floyd was murdered by a United States police officer. The officer in question had a knee over his neck for 9 minutes while he couldn't breathe. George was begging for his life.
Maybe this is what Internet's Best Reactions is going to be now. And you know what? Maybe this is what it should be. Forget about Formula One. From now on, Internet's Best Reactions is about the most horrific crimes in history, but to the same upbeat, happy music. Like the song that, what's the song they use? The one that goes do do da 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 da. Imagine that playing in the background, but then it goes, on September 11th, 2001, 4 passenger airliners were hijacked by religious extremists. The first plane crashed into the North Tower at 9
So anyway, you get the picture. He's left that video up. Which I find pretty strange. So yeah, I would like to talk about the actual video that he made and posted, but unfortunately I can't because he's now got rid of it. But yeah, it's just very strange, and I'll say a lot of it is to do with the fact that YouTube continuously pushes you to push the boundaries, because at the end of the day they are a business. They're here to make their own money. So if you get a video that does well, they get more money as well. Don't forget, they take 55% of every video that you make. 50% of the money you make goes directly to YouTube. So it's in their interest to push these videos. But I just find it strange that the more controversial videos, apart from that one that he's left up, the more controversial ones, he seems to remove very, very quickly. Very, very quickly indeed. It's like he's trying to make a statement and then he takes them down, you know, which is basically just for popularity. It's to get you noticed on the platform and to, you know, get more views. So I'm just very, very perplexed at what he's sort of, what he even is as a person. I'm not quite sure. I can't make any comment because, as I say, I need to see that video again to actually show you what he said. But as I say, he's taken it down, so there's nothing I can say. I'm quite annoyed actually, because I should have just if I'd have known, I would have recorded the video, so I'd have had it here. But yeah, so I can't make any comment about what he said. But yeah, it just seems very strange that he's decided to go down that route. But as I say, once you get popular, you you end up like a plum, a complete and utter plum, and that's what he's turned into. Hopefully people will see through that soon. They usually do. If you look at a lot of these big YouTubers, their shelf life is, especially the big ones, isn't very long, and people, you know, people make their own minds up, and hopefully they will see, you know, exactly what he's doing, and his popularity will wane. Anyway, we will see. We will see. Rinse the mohawk. Oh, be quiet, Kieran, says Will. He said he'd get on with it. Verstappen has 4 wins at Austria and became the first driver since 1995-96 to win 2 Grand Prix of the same category. Here we go. KDF1 says, I can tell exactly what he said. Right, thank you. KDF1's going to tell you, so I'm going to repeat what he says. He says that queer, intersex and asexual people were making up their sexuality. There you go. That's what he was saying in the video. Crossing the line, cough, cough, Jack Nichols, cough, cough, says Will F1 Gaming. No. I was dancing on that line, Will, but I didn't cross it. I was actually, in regards to Jack Nichols, I was reporting everything that was actually going on. Facts. I had a few, you know, ideas of what was going on, but apart from that, everything was factual. He was found to be inappropriate behaviour, and so he was sacked. So yeah, I didn't say anything else as far as I can remember that would have added to that. That music, says Will F1 Gate. Yeah, I know. I can 1000% promise you that is what he said. He can't sue you for that. He blatantly said he's a disgrace. Well, there you go. There's the thing from KDF1. If I can find that video at any point, I will try and get it downloaded, and we'll discuss it at a future time, as I say. But at the moment, not a lot I can do. I'm very disappointed that I can't actually show it to you. But no, that's not it. It's gone. He's taking it down. I notice also he takes a lot of videos down and puts them on his Patreon only or to his members only, which is again a little bit suspect. Let's put it that way, a little bit suspect. But there you go. There you go. Right, how long have I been on? 1 hour and 35 minutes. Oh my god. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Absolutely done. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. You have been awesome as always, and enjoy the Grand Prix on Sunday. And me and Mr. TB will be back next week. Yes, we will. For Silverstone. Yes, Silverstone. Maybe we can get JW97 to report live from Silverstone. No, it can't be 9 o'clock at night. That won't work, will it? But yeah, we might get some reports back from Silverstone. Yes, that'll be exciting, won't it? Whee! KDF1 says he's a coward. Will F1 says an absolute melt. Well, there you go. There you go. But as I say, I shouldn't worry too much because people like him will, eventually people will see through the truth, as we've seen with a lot of YouTubers, especially in the past, 3 or 4 months. There's been a lot of YouTubers that have been ousted as not being what people have thought they were. And I've said this in the past, you should never idolise YouTubers because you don't know who they are as people behind the scenes. Everything is just an act on YouTube. This is not my real personality. I'm just, I'm projecting, more of myself on screen. In real life, I'm very, very boring. Very, very boring indeed. Yes, in fact, extremely boring in real life. So this is not me, and you shouldn't idolise these YouTube. I see a lot of kids following Arava and stuff like that, like 15 years old or whatever. And the only reason I know that is because they say, "Oh, I just finished my school exams or whatever." So I guess they're about 15 years old, and they idolise Arava and say, "Oh, can't wait for next." You should never do that. You never do that. Support your YouTubers. No problem with that. Support them, absolutely. And if you really like their content, then watch their content. Comment in the comments, and if they're small ones like me, you might actually get a reply. If they're big ones, you won't. No, because they don't care. But yes, so support them, but don't idolise them, because as I say, you don't know behind the scenes what they're really like. There was a YouTuber that I used to watch called, you've probably heard about this already, but in case you haven't, called Feature Man. And I used to watch all his videos because to me he was just an old guy eating shite food, and brilliant. And a couple of months ago we found out that he was actually convicted for, how can I put this delicately on YouTube, fiddling with 14-year-olds. There you go, boys. That's all I can say, really. It's about as far as I can go. So he was convicted of that, but because it was the 70s or whatever, or something like that anyway, he got let off after about a year. So he only spent like a year in jail, then he got a 5-year house arrest thing after that. But that was all the time he spent, was so a year in jail and 5 years as house arrest, and that was it. And he had, I think, like 3 counts or whatever. And even now he's trying to come back as though nothing's ever happened. And the way he described it in his video, which he then deleted, was that it was nothing. It was just like having a sneeze. What he did, just like having a sneeze. So yeah, obviously now I don't watch Feature Man's videos anymore, and I never will do. I do like to go on the channel to read the comments though, because he leaves the comments open sometimes and they're absolutely horrendous. Thankfully he's lost a huge amount of subscribers, obviously. But yeah, just he was an old TV star. He used to be in a TV program back in the 70s or 80s or whatever, so he's sort of semi-famous, but he was only really an extra. He wasn't really anything more than that, but he was sort of semi-famous. And so he did his YouTube channel in 2006. He was just an old man doing goofy things, but it's come to light since then. But that he's really not a very nice person at all, and he associates himself with young men far too frequently, and that's how all this really sort of came to light. And so yeah, but as I say, he's still trying to carry on as though nothing's ever happened, and yeah, I'm sure the 3 victims feel like that as well. But yeah, so that was Feature Man. That was someone that I was used to watch and won't be watching anymore. But if you just look through, there's been loads of them these past just 3 months. It's just ridiculous. So as I say, support your YouTubers, support them virulently. Yes, lots of comments, but don't idolise them, because as I say, you don't know who the real person is behind the camera. And from what I've been seeing, this is quite a regular occurrence. The Jack Nichols and all that. This is just something that's been happening a lot. It's just that we're hearing about it more, because I think, a lot of the times, like news companies and that are trying to divert our attention from other things happening. So these sort of stories are coming to the fore more, I think. But yeah, as regards to YouTube, just support them, but don't idolise them. I certainly wouldn't want anyone idolising me. Well, maybe I would. But no, yeah, so as I say, you never know who the real person is, because, we're just sitting behind a camera talking into it. And as soon as we stop, you don't know what goes on as soon as we stop. Well, I can tell you what goes on as soon as I stop. I'm sitting here having sex with my bear. But apart from that, nothing else happens. Anyway, there you go. Thanks so much for watching tonight. This has been another Hookster Talks with me, Hookster, and TB the Bear. You've all been awesome tonight. Thanks so much for the comments. Mr. Will F1 Gaming. KDF1 has been in there. Oh, there's going to be a lot in there tonight. Jordan Oswald. Thank you, Jordan. Planal Plessy was in there as well. Matthew 7657. JW97. A lot of 97s. And let's have a look what else we got. Scott Barnes was in there, of course. Just scrolling up the screen now. And unfortunately, he won't let me scroll up anymore because I've gone past the message allotment or whatever it is. So thanks everyone for watching tonight. You have been awesome as always. Enjoy the Grand Prix on Sunday, and I'll see you back here next Thursday for another Hookster Talks. Thank you and good night.